Hello, viewers, and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. And we need to take a look on what is happening in the nation Zimbabwe. Remember that the issue of protests is getting traction in and out of the nation of Zimbabwe. And so many expectations are happening at this point in time. But there is something which is worrying me, which is a disjointer in terms of how these things should happen. There is an issue of whether the protests should be a citizen thing or there must be a political element or a political understanding of everything. So I'm going to give my honest opinion as well as the past experiences. Personally, I have seen the message being the protest is not about Chamisa or about Mnangagwa, which means they are saying this is a citizen thing which should not involve politicians. Let us go back to history. Maybe I'm wrong, but we need to go back to history and understand the character of the people of Zimbabwe and how they operate when it comes to the issues of protest and everything else. I'm going to explain the situations which led to November 2017. So, Set Free says, I remember when Pastor Ivan emerged, the opposition led in opposing him. And I was shocked how some of the big names in opposition did not even offer him support. That's why Ivan probably never wanted to work with them in 2018, which he could have done if there was a good relationship. So this is what is happening right here. This was in response to Takunda Tsonga. He says, opposition politics is hilarious. Public complains that there are no politicians showing leadership about being in the streets. Leaders show leadership. Shut up, wakurwisa Chamisa. Okay. So this is something which is happening right here. And we need to talk about this whole thing about what is happening in the issues of protests. The reason why we are talking about these issues is because we must be concerned as a people in terms of approach, in terms of whatever we do. And then Mukoma Solo says, I guess the truth will keep on changing depending on what narrative that needs pushed. I know each and every year this will be repeated over and again. So we need to take a look on what was happening in 2016, because 2016 is very important for us. We were there before, the era of Ivan Mawarire and where everything went wrong. And I'm going to explain. This is somebody who was called the Rudo Nyangulu during those days. She said, can someone please tell MDC that this flag is not about politics, it's about citizen action for change. So please, can they sit down? This is what happened in 2016. Ivan Mawarire was on fire during those days. A lot of activity was happening, a political activity, and the opposition then was told to stay away of whatever which was happening. And this is the MDC we're talking about. So because the MDC was told to stay away, this thing remained in a citizen thing. They continued without a final objective of what they wanted. And the things which happened with this flag was the foundation of what we have right now. The Emmerson Mnangagwa presidency was emboldened by the activities which were happening in 2016 through this flag. Robert Mugabe was opposed by this flag heavily. And during that particular period, this continued for quite some time. And it ended up with Robert Mugabe out, but Emmerson Mnangagwa in, because the military used that advantage to push their own things and their own agenda. So that situation can happen right now in Zimbabwe, that people can push. Take a look onto this one. Enoki said, that's true, because all Zim political parties has failed. This is in 2016, July 2016. And we are how many years? 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We are 8 years. 8 years, completely 8 years. July 2016 to now. And the message is still the same. Politicians have failed. Politicians have failed. We need to do this as the citizens. Politicians have failed. We have to do this as the citizens. Yes. But what is the objective of doing this? What do we need to achieve when we get into the streets? That was that is the point which was lacking in 2016. That point was lacking in 2016 because we didn't know what was supposed to be achieved by those protests. So people protested, but did they understood what was the key objective? It seems as if Mawarire never had an ambition to remove Robert Mugabe and place another government or to take over power. Protest must be guided by an objective. We have protested. Who should take over must be defined by you, the people who are protesting. So when you say, we don't care about this person, we don't care about this person, we don't care about this person, this is no longer about politics, this is about citizens. And you leave out the political aspect of things, then you are doomed to run a protest, which the military will say, guys, you are running a good protest, but your protest must have direction. And you have failed to provide that direction. Once you have failed to fill the vacuum or the vacancy you have created, someone else will come and fill that vacancy. Which means if your protest does not have leadership plan, or to say who is going to take over the governance, ngati Mnangagwa atiza Zimbabwe, and you don't have a plan on who is going to take over Zimbabwe, then the military will still simply step in and place another person to lead. This is what was lacking in 2016. The opposition was told to sit down. They sat down. They distanced themselves from whatever which was happening. And what happened? So this is, Davis Masenga said, from what I'm seeing on my TL, you can't be MDC and a supporter of this flag cause you'll be accused of hijacking. It's divisive and unfortunate. And he was true. He was correct. The same thing which is happening to say, if you are a supporter of Nelson Chamisa right now, I have seen such messages circulating on WhatsApp to say, if you are a supporter of Nelson Chamisa, this whole thing of a protest you are hijacking, you are trying to hijack because you want to place Nelson Chamisa on the forefront of everything. No. We need to have a political capital and a direction which is going to give us favorable results to say, if we are to have a transition, we will then have somebody who is going to usher us into that change we all need. So the conditions might be maybe organize an election in so much days or lead the issue of reforms or whatever. But we must have somebody who is leading politically. We must have an idea of somebody who we want to place in power. That is the only way you run a working protest. Kalei Sunset says, MDC needs to realize that they had their chance and they fucked up. Leave this flag to change the country. Yenyu ya karamba. And 8 years later, this flag failed to change Zimbabwe to the better. It changed Zimbabwe to Emmerson Mnangagwa. This is a fact. We only had Emmerson Mnangagwa because there was nobody which this flag wanted to take over. So they put pressure on Robert Mugabe, and that destroyed whatever which Robert Mugabe and his team were planning up to the day where the military then stepped in, because they were justifying whatever which was happening. They created a momentum of getting people onto the streets. People got into the streets and they were being controlled by the military. Everything which the people were doing was being controlled by the military. Soon after that, the leader of this flag, Mawarire, had all the cases dropped. Immediately after that, all the cases were dropped against him. He was a free man now. Fast forward to 2018, you know what happened? People were then shot in the streets. The same people who protested and the same people who worked hard to bring Robert Mugabe down were shot in Harare. The same people who were peaceful in 2017, they were shot and killed in Harare. So we must understand, guys, that this game is about power. Power is power. And we need to make sure that we deal with this whole issue accordingly. Politics is very important. You cannot leave the political capital. Whatever you are doing, you can't leave the political capital, because someone else behind the scenes will provide the political capital and will utilize it and will be in charge, and you will continue to cry. And years later, you'll be talking about other protests again. Here's the situation we are. So these people, they were so toxic during the 2016 activities. The same way we are seeing some people trying to be toxic again when it comes to the issues of protest, saying so and so cannot be part of this, so and so cannot be part of this. It's a problem. It's a problem. This is the reason why we are where we are. This is the reason why we are failing, because we do not have a proper direction of what needs to happen and of what needs to be done. We must make sure that we work to achieve something very important, but we must have direction. Once we get direction, once we have somebody to say, we need A, B, C, D to take over, then we have a clear activity and a clear action plan. It means whatever we are going to do will give us results, because we are pushing somebody into office. In this case, personally, Nelson Chamisa contested in the 2023 elections, and based on the results which were announced by Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, he got, let's say, 43% of the vote, 44% of the vote, according to what ZEC announced. You cannot sideline that person to say, okay, we are going without you, and you sideline that person from the whole thing. I have seen others saying Chamisa should not have participated in the 2023 elections. Imagine if Chamisa had not participated in the 2023 elections. What would be the case right now? It would be a different case. We won't be talking about election rigging, because ZANU-PF was simply going to go uncontested. All the other parties, Wanamonzora and others, were going to contest, but we're going to give ZANU-PF a political mileage and political capital. Without Chamisa, there was no need for ZANU-PF to use FAS. There was no need for ZANU-PF to use unscrupulous means. They were simply going to defeat Wanamonzora hands down, because the people from the opposition were simply not going to vote. So this is something very important to understand, that politics is not about emotions. Politics is not about wanting to be there. We are fighting this struggle not because we want glory. We are fighting this struggle because we want change. So I know that whatever which I will say will never be popular with some comrades and some people, because they think otherwise. But this is the truth. Fight this battle without Nelson Chamisa. You will see the consequences. The military will step in, will give you that person, because whatever which we are doing, if Mnangagwa is forced out, we have created a vacuum, and that vacuum shall be filled by somebody who we might not be comfortable with. That is the problem. It will be filled with somebody we might not be comfortable with. And they already have that person. But we do not have our own person in mind to say, this is the man we need to take over. Because we will be divided and we will be saying, politicians have failed, it's time for us to lead, it's time for us to do everything, it's time for the citizens. Guys, citizens must do this such that politicians, to help the politicians. This is how things must work. We are helping politicians. And by that order, then you become progressive. So this is my thinking. This is what I think. We wait to see what is going to happen. The issue of protests are happening at this point in time. Several lobbyings are happening and several groupings are there doing whatever they can for this protest to happen. But wait, watch and see what is going to happen next. Watch and see how everything is going to unfold going forward, because this is the most important year, a very, very special year for the nation of Zimbabwe. And we hope and believe that protests in Harare shall happen, and we'll go forward. These are the protests which we need. The protest from Harare should be the major protest we need to focus on. So this is what is happening at this point in time. Wait to see what is going to happen. But here's the message. Stop dividing the people. Stop this nonsense of saying Chamisa this, Chamisa that. Lead this protest and have a clear person in mind who must lead the transition. And Nelson Chamisa, you know his position in terms of the last election. You cannot relegate him. You cannot go and find another person to come and fill that vacuum when you really know that you have somebody who has been with the citizens, for the citizens, and has been persecuted for the reasons of the citizens. So it is what it is. We'll continue to watch and see. Temba says they are joking. Rangare says, people of Zimbabwe, we are jealous of each other. It is always known that Chamisa is the person with majority of, or who majority of people want him to lead. So thank you very much, my brothers, for the contributions and the comments. We'll see what is going to happen. Let us meet in other episodes and other broadcasts.